The night was quiet inside the Galactic Embassy, a massive silver building floating above the clouds of Earth's orbit. Stars glittered outside the wide windows and the air hummed with soft machine sounds. Cleaning robots moved across the shiny floors, but one man still preferred to do the work by hand. Eli Ward, the janitor. Eli was an ordinary human, short brown hair, tired eyes, and a kind face that had seen both love and loss. He wore a faded gray uniform and pushed his cleaning cart down the endless hall. It was late, and most diplomats and alien guests were asleep. But Eli didn't mind working nights. Nights were quiet. He didn't have to talk much, and silence was easier than remembering the things he had lost. He reached the Hall of Stars, a long corridor filled with glowing walls and banners from other worlds. As he swept the floor, a sound reached his ears, soft, shaky, and full of sadness. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't human. It was crying. Eli stopped. He looked around. The sound came again, a small sob echoing from behind one of the tall pillars. He slowly pushed his cart closer and peered around the edge. There, sitting on the cold floor, was a small alien child. She was no taller than his shoulder, with silver blue skin that glowed faintly like moonlight. Her hair floated softly, as if moved by an invisible breeze, and her big golden eyes were full of tears. Eli froze. He had never seen anything like her. "Hey there," he said softly, kneeling down so he wouldn't scare her. "Are you okay?" The little girl looked up, startled. She tried to hide her face behind her small hands. "Go away," she whispered in a strange but clear voice. Eli shook his head gently. "I can't do that." "You're crying? Something must be wrong," the child sniffled. I want my mother." "Where's your mother?" he asked kindly. She's busy," the child said, wiping her face. "Always busy. Everyone says I must stay quiet and not be seen." Eli's heart sank. He remembered his own daughter Lila, who used to say the same thing when her mother worked late shifts. He took a deep breath and smiled softly. "You know," he said, "when my little girl felt sad, we had a special trick. It always made her smile." The alien child looked up with watery eyes. "A trick?" Eli nodded. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small old bubble wand. The handle was scratched, the circle bent, but it still worked. He dipped it into a tiny bottle of soap that he always carried, a habit from years ago. He took a deep breath and blew gently. Tiny bubbles floated into the air, round and shimmering, reflecting the glowing lights of the hall. They drifted like small planets shining with rainbow colors. The child gasped. Her tears stopped. She reached out a trembling hand and touched one bubble. It popped softly, leaving a sparkle on her skin. Eli smiled. "See, they're magic. They take sadness and float it away." The little girl giggled, a sound so pure that even the air seemed brighter. She clapped her hands as more bubbles floated around her. "Again, do it again!" she cried happily. Eli chuckled and blew another long stream of bubbles, letting them dance in the air. The girl chased them, her glowing hair fluttering behind her. For the first time she looked free. No guards, no rules, no silence. Just laughter and light. As she played, Eli watched quietly. He didn't know who she was, but she seemed lonely, just like he once was. Far above, unseen by Eli, a small, floating orb camera blinked. It was watching. In a hidden room deep within the embassy, a tall alien woman with golden eyes and silver robes stood before a large screen. She watched every moment. The janitor, the bubbles, the laughter. This was Empress Zilara, ruler of the Zilari Empire, one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. The crying child was her only daughter, Princess Kayla. The Empress had ordered her guards to stay away, to let the child calm down alone. But now she watched with silent surprise as a human janitor comforted her daughter better than any royal attendant ever had. "Who is this human?" she asked in a low voice. A guard bowed. "Eli Ward, Your Majesty. A maintenance worker from Earth's colony on Titan. Widowed. One child. Deceased." The Empress said nothing for a moment. Her golden eyes softened slightly. He comforted her with, "Bubbles?" she murmured, almost amused. "Yes, Majesty," the guard said carefully. "Strange," the Empress whispered. "Humans, they grieve, yet they give comfort so easily." She turned back to the screen and watched as the janitor made the little princess laugh again. Below, Eli knelt down beside the child, smiling. "What's your name, little one?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Kayla." "That's a beautiful name," he said. "I'm Eli," Kayla smiled. "Thank you, Eli." At that moment, the Empress leaned closer to the screen, her face unreadable. "Continue watching him," she commanded softly. "Do not interfere." As Eli stood up and waved goodbye to Kayla, he had no idea that he had just changed the course of his life, or that the Empress of the Zalari Empire was now watching his every move, and all because of a single bubble that floated, sparkled, and popped in the air. The next morning, the Galactic Embassy glowed under soft light from the nearby sun. Aliens of every shape and color moved through the halls. Tall beings with crystal skin, floating ones made of mist, and insect-like diplomats clicking in formal greetings. Everyone looked busy except for one man quietly pushing a mop. Eli Ward, the janitor, worked just like always. He cleaned without a word, humming softly to himself. He had no idea that every step he took was being watched, hidden high above behind the smooth metal walls. Tiny eyes of the Empire, drones, cameras, sensors, followed him. The Empress Zalara had ordered it herself. "Observe him," she had said. "Do not speak to him. Do not let him know. I wish to see what kind of heart this human has," so they watched. Every word, every action, every sigh, all recorded and sent to the royal chamber aboard the massive Zalari flagship orbiting Earth. That morning, as Eli cleaned the main lobby, a strange thing happened. The same little alien girl, Kayla, the one who had cried the night before us, appeared again. She wore a small silver robe now, and 2 guards followed close behind. When she saw Eli, her face brightened. She ran straight toward him, ignoring her guards' warnings. "Eli, you're here," she said, her glowing hair waving as she stopped beside him. Eli blinked in surprise. "Hey there, Starshine," he said without thinking. "Didn't expect to see you again." Kayla giggled. "Starshine? What's that?" "That's what I used to call my daughter," Eli said softly. "She liked stars. And you shine like one." Kayla smiled proudly. "Then call me Starshine." Up in the observation room, the Empress leaned forward. No one had ever spoken to her daughter like that, not even the royal tutors or guards. Kayla followed Eli around as he worked, asking hundreds of questions in her curious voice. "Why do you mop the floor when you can use robots?" "Because sometimes people need to do things themselves," Eli said with a grin. "It keeps the heart steady." "What's that smell?" "Soap. Smells clean, right?" She nodded seriously. "I like it. Smells like clouds." As they talked, one of the disguised observers, a tall Zalari soldier pretending to be a janitor, whispered into his communicator, "The human seems harmless, Majesty. Kind, talks gently." "Keep watching," the Empress replied. Her golden eyes were unreadable. A kind heart can still hide a sharp blade. During lunch, Eli sat alone in the break room eating his small meal, just a sandwich and coffee. Most workers avoided him. To aliens, humans were still new, still strange. But Kayla appeared again, sneaking in when her guards were distracted. She sat across from him, swinging her legs. "Eli, can I see the bubbles again?" Eli chuckled. "You really like those, huh?" "They make me feel happy," she said, her glowing eyes soft. Mother never laughs. The palace is always quiet, but when you made the bubbles, everything felt light, like flying. Eli's heart ached a little. He could see it, the loneliness behind her smile. He took out his small bottle again and blew a few bubbles. They floated gently through the air, catching the light. Kayla's laughter filled the room. Outside the glass door, 2 guards watched. One whispered, "The princess. She hasn't laughed like that since the Great War." The other nodded slowly. "The Empress will not like this." A human getting close to royal blood. Later that day, back on her ship, the Empress received all the reports. Video feeds played across her chamber. Eli working, smiling, talking, cleaning, blowing bubbles. She studied each moment carefully. "He lost his wife and daughter in a mining explosion," her assistant reported. "Since then, he's lived alone. No crimes. No enemies." The Empress touched her chin thoughtfully. "A man who knows loss understands compassion," she murmured. "But compassion can also be used as a weapon." Her assistant hesitated. "Shall we remove him from the embassy, Majesty?" The Empress paused. Her gaze drifted to one of the screens. Kayla's laughing face full of joy. A sound she hadn't heard in years. "No," she said quietly. "He stays." That night, as the stars filled the sky outside the embassy's great windows, Eli finished his work and started to leave. Before he could, Kayla appeared again, holding a small shiny crystal. "This is for you," she said shyly. "It's from my homeworld." Eli smiled and took it carefully. "It's beautiful, Starshine." "Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow," she said, running off down the hall, her laughter echoing behind her. As the door closed, Eli placed the crystal in his pocket and whispered, "See you tomorrow, kid. Up above in her ship." The Empress whispered the same words, though hers carried a different meaning. "Yes, human. We will see you tomorrow. Let us see how far your kindness goes." The test had only begun. For the next few days, Eli Ward's life went on quietly, or at least it seemed that way. He swept, polished, and repaired the vast halls of the Galactic Embassy like always. The place was bigger than any city he'd ever lived in, with corridors lined in glass that showed the black ocean of space. But ever since the little alien girl, Kayla, had appeared, things didn't feel so quiet anymore. Every morning, Eli would half expect to see her glowing face peeking from behind a pillar, and almost every day, she was there. Not with guards, not with attendants, but alone. The princess of the Zalari Empire was sneaking out. Kayla had learned all the backways through the embassy, the tiny service tunnels, vent shafts, and forgotten hallways that only janitors used. Her guards never found her there. To her it was freedom, away from rules, speeches, and lessons. And waiting for her at the end of that maze of tunnels was always Eli, the human janitor with the gentle eyes. "Starshine," he'd say every time she arrived, smiling. "You made it again." She'd laugh, out of breath from running, her hair glowing like threads of silver fire. "I had to escape 3 guards today," Eli chuckled. "Guess that makes you a brave explorer now." "Explorer Kayla," she said proudly, standing tall as if it were a title. "Then Explorer Kayla," Eli said, "your mission today is to help me fix this broken air vent." She tilted her head. "That's boring." "Not if you pretend it's part of a secret spaceship," he said, grinning. "A hero always fixes the ship before flying." She thought about that for a second and then nodded. "Okay, let's fix the ship." And so the princess of an empire held a small wrench while a janitor guided her hands. Days passed like that. Eli built her simple toys out of scrap. Parts: a bubble wand shaped like a star, a spinning light made from a broken fan, a little glass ball that shimmered when you blew air through it. Each gift made Kayla's eyes shine brighter. One evening, when Eli finished his shift, he found something waiting on his cart, a small silver ribbon tied around a message. It read, "From your friend, Starshine. I like bubbles more than royal dinners." Eli laughed softly. For the first time in years, he felt something he thought he had lost: joy. But far away in the hidden chambers of the embassy, the Empress's watchers were growing restless. "Majesty," one of the guards reported through a hologram, "the child meets the human daily. She sneaks out using hidden passages. The staff are starting to notice." The Empress was silent for a long moment. "Has the human shown greed, pride, or deception?" "No, Majesty," the guard admitted. "He treats her as a father would." The Empress's golden eyes softened slightly. "Then let him." My daughter laughs again. "Let's see how long the light lasts before the darkness of the galaxy tries to take it away." Inside the embassy, rumors began to spread like smoke. "The janitor talks to someone important. He's under royal protection. He must be a spy." The other workers started avoiding Eli. Some gave him cold stares, others whispered behind his back. But Eli didn't care. Every time he saw Kayla run toward him smiling, all those whispers faded. One day, while they were sitting near a wide window that showed the stars, Kayla asked quietly, "Eli, why do you work here if no one likes you?" He shrugged. "I don't need people to like me. I just need to do my job right, that's enough." "But aren't you lonely?" she asked softly. Eli looked at the stars. "I was, for a long time. I lost my daughter in an accident years ago. She looked a bit like you, small, curious, full of light." Kayla's eyes filled with sadness. "I'm sorry, Eli." He smiled gently. "You don't need to be sorry, Starshine. You remind me that the world can still be bright. Without saying anything, Kayla placed her small, glowing hand on his rough human hand. Then I'll be your light. At that exact moment in her private chamber aboard the royal ship, the Empress Zalara was watching through a silent feed. For a long time, she said nothing. Then, softly, she whispered, "He speaks to her like a father," and she looks at him as if he were one. Her advisor frowned. "Majesty, it is dangerous. The court already murmurs that you allow a human to touch royal blood." The Empress's eyes flashed. "Let them murmur. I have lost enough joy in this galaxy. My daughter will not lose hers." That night, as the embassy lights dimmed and the stars drifted quietly outside, Eli sat alone on the balcony, holding the silver ribbon Kayla had given him. He tied it around his wrist and smiled. He didn't know that from the darkness above. Thousands of royal eyes still watched, measuring every word, every gesture, every kindness. And far beyond that, deep in the Empire's heart, enemies of the throne were beginning to whisper too. An alien princess growing close to a human janitor? They hissed. This cannot be allowed. The friendship between a simple man and a lonely child had begun to shake the calm of an entire empire, and none of them yet understood how dangerous their bond would become. The golden halls of the Zalari Embassy gleamed brighter than ever, but the hearts inside them were growing dark. Rumors had begun to move faster than light. Quiet whispers carried through corridors, meetings, and message screens. The story was simple but dangerous. A human janitor had gained the trust of the royal princess. At first the nobles laughed. "Impossible," they said. "A human? A worker who cleans floors?" But then when the Empress herself began allowing her daughter to roam freely, and no guards dared question it, laughter turned into silence. Silence soon turned into fear. Among those who watched most closely was Advisor Varkan, a tall, sharp-faced Zalari noble with skin like black glass and eyes that glowed green. He had served the Empress for decades, but his loyalty was to power, not to truth. And he saw a threat. "If the Empress favors a human," he whispered to his allies in the royal court, "what message does that send to the galaxy? That we are equal to them? That the Zalari kneel to earthborn cleaners?" His allies hissed softly, their jeweled robes glittering under the cold lights. Unthinkable. Dangerous. "Then we must act," Varkan said. Not with open blades, but with quiet proof. That same morning, Eli arrived at work as usual, unaware of the storm gathering around him. The hallways seemed colder. Fewer workers greeted him. Even the air smelled strange, sharper, tense. Kayla met him near the reflection pool, her face bright as always. "Eli, look," she said, showing him a small mechanical fish she had made from scraps he'd given her. He smiled warmly. "That's amazing, Starshine. You're getting better every day." She grinned, proud. "Maybe one day I'll make one that swims in real water." Eli laughed. "Then I'll be your first customer." They sat by the pool, blowing bubbles and letting them float across the shining surface. For a while the world felt peaceful again, but high above them, unseen cameras recorded everything. Varkan watched from a hidden chamber, his long fingers tapping the control panel. "Perfect," he murmured. "The Empress wants proof he's harmless. I will give her proof he is not." He leaned toward his guards. "Plant the spy chip. Make sure it looks human." That evening, while Eli was fixing a light panel, a small drone glided silently into the storage closet. It slipped a tiny metal chip into his cleaning cart, one marked with Earth's data code. When Eli finished, he rolled his cart away, unaware of the trap. Moments later, Varkan gave the signal. Sirens rang through the embassy. Guards flooded the halls with weapons drawn. Eli froze. "What's going on?" he asked, stepping back. "Hands up, human!" barked one of the guards. "You're under arrest for espionage against the Zalari Empire." "What? What?" Eli stammered. "I just cleaned floors." They tore open his cart and pulled out the hidden chip. Lights flashed red as it scanned. "Confirmed human technology, unauthorized data storage." Eli's face went pale. That's not mine. But no one listened. Kayla appeared from behind the corner just in time to see them grab him. Stop, she screamed. Let him go. He didn't do anything. Princess, the guards gasped, bowing instantly. But she pushed past them, tears glowing in her golden eyes. You can't hurt him. He's my friend. The guards hesitated, unsure. The royal child's word carried power, but orders from the court were clear. They dragged Eli down the hall, his feet scraping against the polished floor. Kayla ran after them, sobbing. Eli! He turned his head and tried to smile, even as fear filled him. It's okay, Starshine. Don't cry. It'll be fine. But it wasn't fine. In the royal chamber, the Empress stood before the council. Screens displayed the evidence, and the human, the chip, the arrest. Varkan stepped forward, bowing low. Majesty, he said smoothly, we warned you. The humans sought your daughter's trust only to gather information. Here is proof. The Empress stared at the screen, silent. Then her gaze shifted, cold, unreadable. Bring him to me. When Eli was thrown before her, he didn't kneel. He simply looked up, bruised, tired, and confused. Did you spy on us, human? She asked quietly. No, ma'am, Eli said, his voice trembling but honest. I don't even know what that thing is. I just clean floors and sometimes I blow bubbles for a lonely kid. Enough lies, Varkan hissed. Majesty, he insults the throne with his tricks. The Empress turned sharply toward him. Silence, Varkan. I asked the question. Then she looked back at Eli. Really looked. She saw his trembling hands, his worn shoes, the way his eyes softened when he spoke of the princess. There was no greed there, only pain and kindness. Who told you her name? She asked finally. Eli blinked. She did. I didn't know she was a princess. The chamber went silent. The Empress's gaze darkened, as not in anger, but in thought. After a long pause, she stood. Release him. Varkan's eyes widened. Majesty, the evidence is false, she said firmly. And if I learn who placed it, they will answer to me. Varkan bowed, but his jaw tightened. As guards pulled Eli to his feet, the Empress added quietly, Your test continues, human. Let us see if your honesty remains when fear grows. Eli didn't understand what she meant. He only knew that Kayla's tearful face appeared behind her mother's chair, smiling with relief. And far in the shadows of the hall, Varkan watched them both, eyes cold, mind burning with plans for revenge. The day the Empress descended, even the stars seemed to hold their breath. No one at the Galactic Embassy had seen her in person for years. Her orders came through distant transmissions, her image through shimmering holograms. But now the Empress Zalara of the Zalari Empire, the most feared and powerful ruler in the quadrant, was coming herself. The halls shook as her ship entered the Earth's orbit. Windows turned gold as her vessel passed, glowing with energy from the twin suns of her homeworld. Every diplomat, guard, and servant in the building bowed low. Even the air seemed heavier, thicker. But in the center of the great hall stood Eli Ward alone, his hands still bound in light cuffs. He didn't look up. He didn't dare to. His heart thudded like thunder in his chest. The great doors opened. She entered, tall, graceful, and shining with golden light. The Empress's very presence made the guards tremble. Her eyes burned like small suns, and her robe shimmered as if woven from the stars themselves. She carried no weapon. She didn't need one. Power moved with her, silent, calm, and infinite. Behind her, walking slowly, was Princess Kayla. Her small face was pale and frightened, her golden eyes full of tears. When she saw Eli, she ran forward, but the Empress raised one hand, and Kayla stopped instantly. The hall went silent. The Empress's voice was calm but sharp, echoing through the chamber. You are Eli Ward, human, janitor of Earth's colony on Titan. Eli nodded, his voice shaking. Yes, Your Majesty. You are accused of betrayal, she said. Of spying on the empire that feeds and shelters your kind? I didn't, Eli started, but her eyes flared and he fell silent. I have seen the recordings, she continued. I have seen you with my daughter, laughing, touching royal blood, sharing secrets of your world. Eli swallowed hard. I didn't know she was your daughter. She was just a lonely kid. The Empress stepped closer. Every movement she made was slow, controlled, terrifying in its grace. And yet she chose you out of all beings in this galaxy. Her voice softened, not in tone, but in meaning. Tell me, human, why? Eli looked up for the first time. His eyes were tired, honest, unafraid now. Because no child should cry alone, he said. Not even one from the stars. The Empress said nothing. Her golden eyes met his, and for a long time the hall was silent. In that stillness, something strange happened. The Empress saw a flash, not of Eli, but of her late consort, the Emperor, who had died during the Great War. He had said those same words once, when Kayla was born. No child should cry alone. For the first time in years, she hesitated. Kayla's small voice broke the silence. Mother, please. He didn't do anything bad. He's my friend. The Empress turned her gaze to the child. Kayla, you are heir to the Empire. You cannot be friends with... But he made me laugh. Kayla cried. You said no one could. He did, the Empress froze. Her daughter's words cut deeper than any blade. Eli looked between them, unsure if he should speak. Your Majesty, he said softly, I can go. I don't need anything from you, just don't punish her for being kind. Something in those words broke the wall the Empress had built around her heart. She raised her hand. The guard stepped back instantly. The light cuffs vanished from Eli's wrists. Release him, she said. The guards hesitated. Majesty, the council, her voice turned cold. I am the council. The guards fell silent. Eli rubbed his wrists, confused. Wait, you're letting me go? The Empress nodded slowly. Yes, human. Your test is over, he frowned. Test? You have shown loyalty, compassion, and restraint in the face of power. No weapon, no deceit, only kindness. You passed where many have failed. Eli didn't fully understand. He only nodded, quietly relieved. Then, to everyone's shock, the Empress knelt slightly so that her eyes met his. I have ruled for 1,000 years, she said softly. I have seen planets burn and kings fall. But never have I seen anyone make my daughter smile. Kayla ran forward and hugged Eli tightly. I knew you'd be okay, she whispered. Eli smiled, his eyes misting. Told you not to worry, Starshine. The Empress watched them for a long moment. Then she turned to her guards. Ensure he has safe passage to his quarters. He is not to be harmed or questioned again. As she walked away, her golden robe brushed the floor like sunlight. One guard whispered, Majesty, why show mercy to a human? She paused. Because, she said, even a small light can reach where our sons cannot. And as she left the hall, Eli realized the truth. He wasn't just a janitor anymore. He had changed something in the heart of an empire. But far in the shadows, Varkon watched silently, his eyes burning with hate. Let him bask in her favor, he whispered, for soon that light will turn to fire. Days turned into weeks after the Empress's visit, yet whispers of that day still floated through every hall of the Galactic Embassy. No one dared to speak Eli Ward's name loudly, but everyone knew it, the human who made the Empress break her silence. He had returned to his cleaning duties as if nothing had happened, though every eye followed him when he passed. Some looked with curiosity, others with envy, and many with quiet fear. But Eli didn't care. He had never wanted fame, only peace. What mattered most to him was that Kayla still came to see him. Every afternoon she found a new excuse to escape her lessons, sometimes claiming she needed air, sometimes science practice. The guards pretended not to see. Together, they fixed broken machines, told stories about stars, and blew bubbles that shimmered in the artificial sunlight of the embassy gardens. For Kayla, those moments were more precious than all her jewels. One evening, as Eli was cleaning the great balcony, the sky outside turned red with the glow of a rising nebula. He stood quietly, watching the light wash over the stars. For a moment it felt like looking at a sunrise back on Earth. Then a voice spoke behind him, calm, powerful, and unmistakable. Do you always watch the sky when you finish work? Eli turned. His mop nearly fell from his hands. The Empress Zilara stood before him alone, her golden robe fluttering softly in the breeze. He quickly bowed. Your Majesty, I didn't know you were here. I came without escort, she said. A ruler grows blind if she only walks among soldiers. Eli straightened, still nervous. I'm just cleaning, ma'am. I know, she said with a faint smile. You clean more than floors, human. You have cleared shadows from my daughter's heart. He didn't know what to say. She's a good kid, he murmured. She was broken, the Empress said softly. After the Great War, she saw her father die. Since then, her light dimmed. I tried everything, healers, tutors, songs from 10 worlds. None could reach her, but you did. Eli looked down. All I did was listen. That, said the Empress, is something even kings forget to do. She raised her hand and a beam of golden light formed in the air between them. From it emerged a small crystal emblem shaped like a star, glowing gently, humming with strange energy. This, said the Empress, is the star emblem. It is a mark of peace. No human has ever been given one. Eli blinked. I can't take that. You will, she said simply. It is not payment. It is acknowledgement. You gave what no empire could buy. Comfort to a grieving child. Eli stared at the glowing emblem, its light reflecting in his tired eyes. Slowly he shook his head. Your Majesty, I don't need rewards. I'm not a hero. I'm just a man who misses his daughter. The Empress's expression softened. And yet that is exactly why you deserve it. For the first time, Eli saw something human in her gaze, a quiet sadness hidden behind royal calm. Kyla arrived just then, running toward them with laughter in her voice. Mother, you're here! The Empress smiled faintly. I was giving your friend something special. Kayla gasped when she saw the star emblem. That's a royal symbol. Only warriors of light get that. Eli knelt beside her. Guess your mom thinks I'm one of those, huh? Kayla grinned. You're my hero. Eli chuckled softly, the sound warm and tired at the same time. Hero might be a big word for a janitor, Starshine. The Empress watched them, her eyes gleaming with something close to pride. Then she turned serious. Eli Ward, from this day forward you are under my personal protection. No one in the Empire may harm you. He bowed slightly. Thank you, ma'am. But far across the hall, unseen behind the pillars, Advisor Varkon stood in the shadows, his face cold and expressionless. Personal protection? He whispered bitterly. For a human? His hand tightened around the communicator in his palm. The Empress has lost her judgment. If she will not act, then I will. That night, as Eli lay in his small quarters, the star emblem rested on the table beside his bed. Its golden light flickered gently, casting soft patterns on the wall. He stared at it, lost in thought. It was beautiful, but heavy with meaning he didn't understand. He whispered to the air, Lila, you'd have liked her. That little princess. She laughs just like you used to. Outside, far beyond the walls, Varkon's secret fleet waited in the dark, cloaked and silent. His voice came through the shadows of space. When the royal blood trusts a human, the empire begins to rot. Tomorrow we restore purity, with fire. The Galactic Embassy stood in perfect calm that night. The stars shimmered across the glass ceiling, and the soft hum of the generators echoed like a heartbeat. But deep in the dark corners of the station, danger was already awake. Inside the maintenance bay, Advisor Varkon gave his final order. His green eyes glowed cold as the void. Begin the cleansing, he whispered. The human dies tonight, and so does his influence. The drones around him blinked red and spread out, each carrying a cloud of invisible nanobots, tiny machines that could break down living cells within seconds. Their target was simple, the princess. If the human was near her, he would fall too. Varkon smiled thinly. Let mercy die with him. Eli Ward, unaware of any danger, was sitting in the grand garden waiting. He had promised Kayla he would show her something special, a bubble trick his daughter used to love. He looked up at the stars and sighed. Hard to believe all this started with one bubble, he said softly. Moments later, Kayla appeared, her small steps echoing through the silent corridor. She was wearing a white gown that shimmered faintly blue, her glowing hair braided neatly. Eli, she said, smiling wide, you promised me a surprise. He grinned. I did. But you have to close your eyes first, Kayla obeyed, giggling. Okay, they're closed. Eli dipped his old wand into the soap bottle. He took a deep breath and blew gently. A stream of huge, shining bubbles rose into the air, catching the starlight above. They drifted around the girl like floating planets, each glowing with soft rainbow colors. Now open them, he said. Kayla gasped. They're so beautiful. Eli laughed quietly.
Each one's a tiny world.
You breathe life into them and they float free. The princess reached out, touching one gently. Then I'll name this one. Peace, Eli nodded. Good name. But just as their laughter filled the air, the danger arrived. A faint shimmer passed over the far wall, like heat rising from stone. Eli noticed it first. His eyes narrowed. Starshine, get behind me, he said quietly. Kayla blinked. Why? Do it. The shimmer grew. Suddenly, a cloud of silver dust swept through the air, heading straight for them. The lights flickered as the embassy's sensors detected the nanobots. Eli didn't think. He acted. He grabbed the princess and pushed her behind the fountain just as the cloud struck. The air hissed where it touched the stone, eating through it like acid. Kayla screamed. Eli! I'm fine, he lied. His arms burned where the dust had touched him, but he stayed low, shielding her with his body. Don't move. The nanobots whirled closer, forming a gray mist. Eli looked around desperately and saw the bubble wand still in his hand. A crazy thought hit him. He dipped it into the soap again, ignoring the pain, and blew hard. A huge bubble floated out, then another and another. The cloud of nanobots hit them and stopped. The soap coating trapped the nanobots inside, freezing their movement for precious seconds. Soap, it's neutralizing them, Eli realized. Starshine. The bottle, throw it. Kayla grabbed the small bottle and tossed it. Eli splashed the liquid across the air, creating a shimmering wall of bubbles between them and the approaching swarm. Behind the wall, soldiers rushed in, too late to help. But the sight that met them froze them in place. A human janitor, burned and bleeding, standing in front of the royal child, surrounded by glowing bubbles that caught the red warning lights and turned them into rainbows. Then everything went white. When Eli woke up, the air was warm and still. He was lying on a golden platform surrounded by strange lights. His arms were wrapped in bandages that glowed faintly. Easy, said a soft voice. He turned his head. The Empress Zalara stood beside him, her face calm but her eyes wet with tears. Kayla sat by his side, holding his hand tightly. You saved her, the Empress whispered. The nanobots would have destroyed everything in this embassy. You stopped them. Eli tried to sit up, but she gently pushed him back. Rest. The healer drones say you almost died. He smiled weakly. Guess humans are stubborn. Kayla squeezed his hand. You can't go, Eli. You promised me more bubbles. Eli looked at her, his tired eyes soft. And I keep my promises, Starshine. Later that day, the Great Hall was filled with light. Every species in the embassy gathered as the Empress stood before them. Eli, still weak, stood beside Kayla. The Empress raised her hand. This human, she said, her voice echoing across the hall, protected the heir to the Empire with his life. While others watched, he acted. While others feared, he cared. He showed us that courage has no species. She turned to Eli and placed a golden mark on his chest, the star emblem, now glowing brighter than before. From this day forth, she declared, Eli Ward shall be known as guardian of the Zalari princess and friend of the Empire. The hall erupted in thunderous applause. Even the guards who once doubted him bowed deeply. Eli looked at Kayla. Well, he said softly, guess I've got a new job. She laughed through happy tears. The best one. Eli took out his wand one last time and blew a single bubble. It rose slowly, glowing gold in the light of the Empress's throne. Kayla watched it float higher and higher until it touched the ceiling and popped, leaving behind a small sparkle, like a tiny star. The Empress smiled, whispering, a fragile thing. Yet it carried hope across the stars. And so, the human janitor who once blew bubbles for a crying child became a legend, one whose kindness saved not just a princess, but the peace of a galaxy.